I have a special guest joining me, my friend David Jenyns. For those of you that have purchased his book or you got it gifted to you for free, he very generously offered a bunch of them to us earlier this year, which was really fun. But his book is called Systemology, and he has been just a champion for business owners to really create systems-driven businesses. And his book was one of the very first ones that I ever read, and it is what got me hooked on creating systems. We now have hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of them in our company in both businesses. I've just seen that how they transform your business. They will make it from you having to work real hard in the business until literally the business running itself. He has a brand new book. It's full of all kinds of gold nuggets. I can't wait for you to hear. And he's talking about his new book that will be out very soon. So here is my interview with David. Welcome to the Clinical Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Rhonda, your no-fluff, tell it like it is business bestie for wellness practitioners just like you who want to build a practice you love and make a bigger impact and a little money while you're at it. So if you're ready to ditch the overwhelm, attract your dream, ideal patients, and finally run your practice with complete confidence, you're in the right place. Each week, we're tackling things from programs to patient retention to marketing strategies that actually work, sprinkled, of course, with a little sass, a lot of heart, and the step-by-step strategies that will help you get there. So grab your cup of coffee, your notebook, or whatever keeps you going, and let's build a practice you love and a life you love together. Well, David, welcome back to the podcast. I'm super glad you're here.
An absolute pleasure. I love talking about systems with someone who loves it as much as I do.
I do. I was just talking with some of the Clinical Business Academy docs today, and we were talking about how systems get outdated so quickly and how hard it is to kind of keep up with them. You know, you create all the systems, then you're like, okay, check that off my list. I got my systems in place. I'm good to go. And then she had to actually work on her own. Her front desk person was out, and that's the person who did the systems. And so she couldn't remember how to do something. So she was looking in the system to see, and it was so outdated and so old. She said, this system does me no good because it's not updated and current and all the things. So I was so happy to have you back on the podcast because you have a brand new book out. And for those of you listening that don't know, David's first book is Systemology. I'm a huge 1,000% fan. And David's been so gracious to be on the podcast. So we are going to talk about his new book coming out, which is called
Systems Champion.
Systems Champion. So tell us a little bit about the book.
Yes. So after Systemology, we connected really well with business owners and started to really attract a lot of people into our world. And then I started to watch what was the difference between those that really built a systems culture and made it work and those that didn't, and what are those common elements. And I identified probably the biggest leverage point is the identification of the person we call the systems champion. It's that right-hand man or woman that really helps to support the business owner in rolling these ideas out. They really champion it, and when the business owner gets distracted, they're the ones that keep it front and center and keep bringing it up and make sure that progress is constantly made. So the new book really first speaks to the business owner and helps to explain this role and gives a position description and explain the attributes that someone would want to look for this person. And then probably about the second two-thirds, or the next two-thirds of the books really focuses in on the playbook for that systems champion and how do we really make the idea of building a systems culture inevitable. And a lot of it has to do with just removing excuses and making sure that systems are the default choice.
And I think, like, from a practical perspective, me being a clinician and an entrepreneur, you know how it is, like your brain you have squirrel brain all the time.
Yep.
We're always looking at the next shiny thing. This is what we can do. We're going to implement this or do this program or help these people over here. I'm going to create a new lead. All the things are happening all the time. And my brain isn't naturally wired to think through logically a system. So for me, it was essential that I hire someone and bring people in the team that are wired that way, because otherwise we wouldn't get anything done. So I probably think I think I speak and represent well the body at large of these, clinical practitioners, that we tend to not kind of be wired that way. But I think it's really, that's why I love the concept of this book, is how do you bring someone else in to really help you be able to leverage and manage the systems? Because you can't move a business if you don't have the systems. Business won't move, it'll stay stagnant.
What I love is you are the perfect example of the business owner who might not be the systems person, but you've fallen in love with what systems brings. And I'm the same. Like, I don't love, it's the dirty little secret of systemology. It's not like I enjoy writing out checklists and step-by-step procedures, but as a business owner, I've seen businesses that have systems and those that don't, and it's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
So really that got me to kind of double down on this idea, and it's very common for the business owner.
Yeah.
I'm imagining, especially with clinicians. They're technicians, they're on the tools, they're looking after clients, they're in session, and that's when they do some of their best work. And I suppose the big takeaway here is, if we all agree that systems-driven businesses are better businesses, and I don't think I've ever had a discussion with a business owner where we haven't agreed that.
Yeah.
If that's the case, and then that maybe you're not the systems guy or girl, then you want to make sure that you surround yourself with systems-driven people to make up for an area maybe that you're not as strong. And that's a big part of the story as well. We start with the systems champion, but you should be thinking about your recruitment and onboarding, about finding people that will fit into this culture and that will be able to go, hey, this is how we do things here. We follow process, and it will just make your business a better business and will help to reduce that chaos and run more smoothly, and all the benefits that come from systemization.
Yeah, and the systems, the first time, I don't know if you said it or if I heard it somewhere, but I remember what someone said, might have been you, that a business that has good systems will actually run itself.
Yes.
And I thought, what? Like, you mean, I couldn't comprehend that, because what do you mean the business can run itself? This business needs me. I am to make the decisions. I sign off on this. I sign off on that. I approve this. I approve, all the things that I do. And I that was a completely foreign concept to me. But over the years, as our systems have continued to develop, and we have like hundreds of them now, but they've just continued to develop. Now I get it. I get how the business can work. It needs people, but when the people follow the systems, and the systems then lead am I saying this? Like, the systems lead the people. You're going to be more articulate saying it than I am, but the systems lead the people, direct the people, provide the boundaries and the guidelines for the people. Then the people can execute the task based on the system, and the business just keeps on going.
Yes. And what makes it hard for a lot of clinicians is when they first get started, obviously they're on the tools, and they're like, their whole being and picture in their head of how to run a business is with them on the tools. Yet as you start to grow a business, you realize it takes very different skills to run a business that delivers the technical work rather than just doing the technical work itself.
Right. So
and that's the picture. That's where a lot of clinicians go wrong, and they struggle to make that jump because you actually need to. There are a range of other tasks that need to happen for your practice to function to a great level.
It's so true. It really is true. But boy, I tell you, for our brains, our clinician brains, it's like painful, hard and painful. So one of the things that I want to ask you, I do love the idea of the book, and obviously I haven't read it because it's not out yet, but it's coming soon. And I love the idea of creating that champion, or finding that champion that can really help you do that. But what are the personality traits, qualities? Like, what do we look for if we're hiring someone like that? What are we looking for in that type of person to help us with those systems?
Yes. So firstly, you want to find someone who is naturally organized. There are people who just like to create checklists, and they do it at home, and they would do it whether they were told to or not. is a great starting point. You want to find someone who's curious, someone who wants to find out how things work, and someone who's personable, because your systems champion will be connecting with all of the different team members. So you want to make sure that they can get along with them. Sometimes it's even great to spot ones with not necessarily in a leadership position now, but someone who's got leadership potential, because we've also seen great systems champions evolve into operations managers or practice managers because they get such great visibility across the business and what's happening in the different departments and the different team members, and they help to document some of these processes, and that gives them, unmatched visibility across the organization.
Right.
And we are starting to see also, I think, getting someone who is quite flexible and even technically savvy, especially with everything moving towards AI. The systems champion is very well positioned to become an AI champion as well, because they can start to re-engineer process and go, well, this is the way that we're currently doing things, but you know what? Steps 3 and 4, we can actually head over to ChatGPT and get it to draft that email template, and it'll speed things up no end. And they get that visibility and understanding if you have the right person.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about AI. Imagine for you that writing the book and having to include information and, using AI, I imagine that was a bit tricky for you.
Yeah, whenever I write something, I want it to be evergreen, and I want someone to be able to pick it up in 10 or 15 years' time and go, hey, that's still relevant. And that was, I had a big moment, it was about 12 months ago now, where I just had used ChatGPT, and like the first time you use it, I felt like it was magic. You type something in and this magical result comes back.
Yeah.
And almost instantly I knew that this was going to change the way that we do business. I started sharing it with our systemologists who basically take a lot of the systemology work and help to deploy it in different businesses. When I showed it to them, I said, watch, we can take a transcript, feed it into ChatGPT, ask it to draft the process, and then this magical result, a first draft of a process, comes out the other end. Wow, isn't this amazing? Now, we developed a service that would help our systemologists to do the documentation, because it was often one of the biggest friction points when it comes to systemization. I mean, you can record someone doing a task, but then actually translating that into a process someone could follow was quite a time-consuming task. So I just shown them how to do this with this new tool, and almost overnight, our demand for the documentation services dried up, and we went from having regular work coming in to next to nothing. And I had these 7 team members, so I had to try and place a couple of the team members, and I did manage to reseat a couple, but the reality was we were way overstaffed, so I had to let go 7 staff, which was really challenging as a business owner, anyone who's had to go do that. And it just got me to have that wake-up call that AI is here. It is going to change every role, every industry, every business is going to get affected by this technology. Some will be sooner rather than others, and I'm sure in some of the clinicians are seeing it around the way that they're communicating with clients. I mean, there's even tools that can handle incoming inquiries and booking sessions for clients. Like, it's creeping in everywhere. Just some businesses are getting affected quicker than others. And obviously, some of the clinicians, I mean, they still need to meet with the clients, and we're probably way off having those clinicians being replaced by robots. But everything around that is changing. So it really got me to sit down and think, 20 years down the road, what is still relevant? Does process still have a place? And
good question.
Yeah, because I thought, well, if this part of my business can just disappear like that, what else could? And then the more that we tested this theory, the more that I started to realize that process really becomes the programming for the machines, because at the end of the day, the machines and AI will still need to be told what to do and have some direction. And while AI can do a bunch of these different things, you really want to be asking the question, what are we currently doing and how can AI help us do that faster, cheaper and better? So the need for process has increased, and fortunately the speed at which you can create it has, there is no hurdle here, no barrier to entry. It's incredibly easy with some of the new tools to document process, to get them down, to get them updated. And whether your team is executing it or one day a machine is going to execute some of these tasks. I mean, the reality is these SOPs at some point will be fed into AI, and the AI will do 80 or 90% of it and come back to the human and say, hey, look what I've done. Can you approve it before we push it out? So, I mean, that was a big part of my thinking, a long way to answer your question of, what was I thinking about? I tried to first go back to grassroots, like the absolute base level, to go, is process still going to be important, which I believe it is, and then start to build from there. And that kind of helped to shape my thinking. But it's an incredibly unique time in business. I've never seen anything like it.
I know. And the exponential growth that's happening in businesses all over the world as a result of it is remarkable. I mean, you can hardly keep up with the new AI tools that are popping up, every single day. There's a new tool that does something so fascinating. You think, oh my gosh, is that really even possible? So I appreciate your thought that you put into this about the concept about process. Is it going to be even needed or necessary? But you're right. It does provide that kind of, I guess, framework, would you say?
Yes.
Or a context, maybe. And then as the AI evolves, it's a question that we ask as we're even now working with AI, what's currently being done? How are the experts in this field of X doing this thing now, and asking AI to give that kind of feedback? So as the systems production or creation starts to evolve inside of a business, then I think, AI is going to be able to keep up with that to a degree, and then be able to kick back whatever is current, relevant, and, novel, new, et cetera.
Yes. And the systems champion is really great at driving this by looking at what's going on in the business, getting some visibility into what sort of tools are available, even using AI to say, hey, I've got this process. How can I make it more efficient and leverage AI tools? Like using itself to optimize process is really key. And the way that we see it, and I mean, we've got our System Hub software, and the way that we're moving towards where AI is going, I see a world where all of these SOPs and your staff handbook, really this is just training for the AI, and every role in your organization should have an AI assistant that's trained on your SOPs and your data, and then team members should have access to that. So you've got a highly competent AI that a team member can reference and ask questions on and get the relevant tailored responses back. And that's really where a lot of the magic happens. Like general AI is okay. It'll give you general responses, but the more that you can let AI know the context and about your business and what the rules are and how you complete things, the outcome is significantly improved.
Yeah, it really does make a big difference. And people will say, oh, I tried AI and I didn't like the output. Like, well, probably because you didn't give enough context in the input. The better the context, the better the output, and the more that you train, the better. We've been having a bit of an internal dialogue about I've had some staff members leaving for, a variety of reasons, but babies seem to be what's in the air at the moment. So I've got a bunch of women leaving for maternity. But I was saying, when you have individual team members and they're trained in the business and helping to create the systems and doing some of that work, and then they leave, all of that AI knowledge leaves as well.
Yeah.
So now this is a conversation that we're having, is how do we create that team, company-based AI, so that everyone that comes into the company, whether that's a part-time person or a short-term employee or independent contractor or whatever, they have access to that information. And so, but once you have your AI trained, it's really hard to go to a different one.
Yes, yes.
It's like losing your best friend. It's painful. It's a separation. It's like a divorce. So I'm avoiding it all with both feet in the dirt on this. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But yeah, I think that you're right. This AI conversation, we have to talk about it because it's not going away.
Yes. You touched on something, I mean, that whole idea of your most valuable IP walks out the door at the end of every shift. And whether it's in your head or team members' heads, if something happens to that team member, if they get sick or one of their family members gets sick or they need to take maternity leave or they want to go on holiday or they end up going to another job, like whatever it is, that you develop how you do what you do. And that oftentimes develops over years to perfect these ways of doing things. And that's the business IP that you have to capture, organize and store.
Yes.
Otherwise, new team member comes on board and you're starting from scratch again.
I know. It's painful. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like really painful. But it's a good kind of painful because it makes you figure out, you have to start reinventing and think, okay, how do I do business differently now moving forward? You didn't see the 2x4 smacking you on the side of the head until it does. And then you're like, wait a minute, I wasn't expecting that to happen. So how do we fix this moving forward? Well, anyway, back to the systems though. I want to ask you if someone were to, and I think we've kind of had this conversation previously, but it's a big sticking point for these clinicians. And that is they're a solo practitioner. They're doing all the work themselves and they're in their office and I get this, but they'll say, well, if it's just me, why do I need I don't have time. I don't have time to create the system and it's just me. I know how to do all the things.
Yep.
And I always have an argument back, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, they're definitely right in that the leverage that you would get from heavily over documenting something, I mean, you're going to get this diminishing return if you created something super micro detail and you're the only one following it. So there is a little bit of a balance here that you need to strike, especially in the early days. And maybe it's more of a simple checklist and that's where you start. Just like a pilot would have a checklist before they hop into a plane to make sure, even though they've done it hundreds, if not thousands of times before, they follow a high-level checklist just to make sure that all their bases are covered. And that can be a great starting point. Now, with the new technology, it's getting easier and easier, as we said, to document process. Just recording yourself doing tasks like that can be on a screen with a screen recorder. If you're doing it that way, it can be on your iPhone. If you're in the practice, I mean, there's different tools. This is a little DJI Osmo. It's like a little handheld tool for recording little videos. Just recording it, it's getting a lot easier. And then you feed that into your favorite AI, ask it to draft the process, and it's the start. And really that's the key, to understand that unless you get this out of your head, you will forever be a solo practitioner. And systems and processes, this is the bridge to build a business that works without you. And at some point you might bring other clinicians in around you so that you can take a holiday and patients can still be seen and the business can continue to move. Really, though, if you're a solo person, I would imagine the first person you should be thinking about hiring is some sort of administrative assistant, and you get them on board to help with the scheduling of clients and emails and phones and to free you up to work on higher value work, only work that you can do, which is seeing the clients. So you want to actually strip away oftentimes everything that is not seeing clients so that you can maximize that earning potential and the value that you're adding to the business. So I kind of feel like it's a stepping stone. What comes first? I feel like to a lot of clinicians, they're going to want things done to a certain standard and they'll want things done a certain way. And sometimes there's micromanagement issues and letting go issues.
It's hard.
And part of that just happens because you're not clear or able to articulate well, this is what I want, and this is the standard to which I want it done. So I think starting off with some simple checklists, recording what you're doing, and maybe that first administrative assistant, part of their role is a systems champion role. It might not be a full-time thing, but they could help you get some of these first processes down.
And I think that's a good point. I think that even something like an hour a week, if you hired a virtual assistant, many of these, practices have somebody that might be helping them for 3 to 5 hours a week. Do some of those things, scheduling or responding to emails, that kind of thing. But even finding someone that can just work an hour or two a week on helping with systems can make a really big difference. My argument is always, listen, if something happened to you and you were, out cleaning your yard and you were up on the roof and you fell off the roof and you broke a leg and you literally couldn't be in, you broke your hip and you could not come to work, but you still needed to pay the bills and you could bring in another practitioner that could temporarily fill in for 8, 12 weeks, however long you're going to be out. That's not the time to think about, oh my gosh, I wish I would have written all this down. You don't know what's going to happen. And if something were to take you out of the business, maybe it is a family member that's ill and you have to travel across the country to go care for a parent, or a child gets ill and you're like, I got to go. I have to do this. The value of having something documented enough that someone can get into the office, know how to turn the computer on, know how to process a patient, know who to call. Just those basic things are essential for just keeping the lights on and being able to do that. And I pray that that never happens, but life doesn't always go the way that we think. And being prepared for something like that is a good discipline in, not only in the preparation, but also just setting that business up to maybe possibly one day have another practitioner, or to have, somebody else that can come in and that would be able to, help you. So
yes, it's a bit like insurance. A lot of people don't think about insurance until it's too late. Their house burns down and then they go, I wish I had insurance, but it's too late. The good thing about business systems as well, though, rather than just insurance where you pay a premium and then once that's gone every year, you have to keep paying a premium. When you invest in your systems, it's an asset that you own that continues to bring value to the business and also compounds and can grow over time. The more systems and processes that you get, you become more efficient, the less errors that you have, and then that's adding. So there's a little bit of a multiplier effect that happens here beyond just the business insurance part, so that it really is worth the investment.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Well, by the time this podcast gets out and everybody's listening to it, the book will be out. We will make sure that it doesn't go out anytime soon. How is the best way for someone to get their hands on your book?
Yes, head over to Amazon. That's always the best place. Search Systems Champion. If you're listening to this, you're probably an audio person, so there will be an audible version as well that you can listen to. And then if you want to find out a little bit more just about the work that we do, it's over at systemology.com. There'll be a link through to the book and some of the other additional resources to kind of help you get going.
And also just a huge, huge shout out to the System Hub software. We use it in both companies that I have, and we absolutely love it. And a little birdie told me that it's getting a facelift. It's going for hair and makeup. Yes?
Yes.
Hair and makeup.
From the ground up, we are rebuilding it, making sure that all the plumbing is in place to take advantage of this AI world we're moving into.
Nice. Oh, I'm so excited. And I don't know of another one that's doing that. Maybe they are, but we aren't going to talk about it because I'm a huge fan. So I'm so glad. I'm excited about the new software. I'm excited about your book. And I am so grateful for you coming on the show with me again today. So, David, thank you so much. And head on over, for those of you listening, head on over to systemology.com, and you can check out all the great work that my friend David is doing around using systems in your business to gain traction and to leverage what you do and make your business run for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Well, are you feeling super inspired? I hope you are after that interview. I just so appreciate his passion, his gentleness, his kindness, just the way that he shows up for business owners all over the world and helps them just really be able to think about transforming their business by creating these very simple systems. So If you have someone that is your or could be your systems champion, as he said, that is the name of his book, then I highly recommend that you go grab his book, which is now available on Amazon. We waited to release this podcast until the book was ready because I wanted you to go get it. But go snatch that book up. You're going to love it. He is a great author. He's a good writer. And I think you just start applying some of those processes and those systems in your business, and you're going to see some dramatic changes. And this is where, for many of you listening that don't have a virtual assistant or someone helping you, you actually might just be able to find someone to help you begin to create these systems in your business. I'm telling you, it is the key to transform a business that relies solely on you as the bottleneck to being one that runs efficiently, effectively without you, using people to help you carry out your vision. And those people follow systems. So there you go. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next week on the podcast.